Book 4, Chapter 6, The First Light of Seraphim Heart 2. Deep within the Chrysalis Labs, in a newly expanded section sealed by layers of quantum shielding and protected by demon army units that melted into the very rock, the air thrummed with a palpable anticipation. This was a sanctuary of unparalleled secrecy, where the very laws of physics were being rewritten, not just to defy galactic understanding, but to challenge the cosmos itself. Here, in a colossal climate-controlled bay that stretched beyond the horizon, the Human Galactic Authority, HGA, prepared to unveil its ultimate answer to the encroaching entropy wave. A hush fell as the Inner Quintet took their places on a reinforced observation platform. Jian Li stood at the forefront, her posture as rigid as the purpose she embodied. Beside her, General Armitage radiated grim satisfaction, and Ambassador Valerius maintained a rare, almost reverent silence. Maeve O'Connell's empathetic senses felt the suppressed awe, the cautious hope emanating from the handful of lead scientists and gifted commanders present. But the moment belonged to Dr. Aris Thorne. His face, usually a mask of weary intensity, now glowed with the triumph of centuries of relentless pursuit. He gestured towards the colossal shrouded form at the center of the bay. For 2 galactic cycles, humanity has faced an existential threat that defies comprehension. Thorne's voice, amplified by Archangel, resonated through the chamber. Today we reveal our defiance, our promise, our celestial fleet. With a silent command, the shrouds began to recede, not pulling away, but dissolving into shimmering particles of light, revealing the gleaming hull beneath. Gasps, hushed and profound, echoed through the observation deck. This was no Angel-class dreadnought. This was the Seraphim-class prototype, the Seraphim Genesis. Its appearance was breathtaking. Its hull was an ethereal blend of deep, cosmic obsidian and swirling, iridescent patterns woven from exotic matter composites. The lines were impossibly sleek, flowing with a silent, almost living grace, less predatory than the Angel fleet and more transcendent. It didn't just look like a ship, it looked like a fragment of the universe itself, designed to move through realities, not merely within them. It was larger than Heaven's Gate, its sheer scale a testament to the breakthroughs achieved by Marco Petrova's meticulous material engineering. Its primary propulsion, Thorne continued, his voice swelling with pride, is the Nexus drive. Based on Void-Folding FTL principles, it allows for true intergalactic displacement, bypassing conventional spacetime entirely. It does not jump, it unfolds its destination around itself. On a secondary display, a shimmering simulation showed the Seraphim Genesis executing a seamless, instantaneous blink across a simulated 1,000,000 light-years, leaving no wake, no residual energy signature. Next, a demonstration of its offensive power. A holographic projection showed a vast, inert block of simulated, unknown matter, mimicking the composition of the anomaly from the void. "Behold the Void Scythe," Thorne intoned. A single, unseen pulse emanated from the Seraphim Genesis's projected weapon hardpoint. There was no flash, no sound. The simulated matter block simply shimmered, warped, and then, silently, crumbled into dust, its very molecular cohesion unmade. It was an unraveling, utterly absolute, far beyond the destructive force of a Hades field, guided by Commander Ryan Kale's precise calibrations. Finally, the ultimate defense. Simulated alien energy modalities, depicting the unpredictable forces of the entropy wave, washed over the projected Seraphim Genesis. A faint, almost invisible shimmer radiated from the ship's hull, the cosmic shield. As the simulated energies impacted, the shield didn't just absorb or deflect. It pulsed with an adaptive counter-frequency, neutralizing the incoming force in real time, learning and adapting to each new attack. Commander Finn's unique instinct had proven invaluable in its development, guiding the creation of a defense that could feel and counter the unseen. Kalen Rourke, standing beside Jian Li, felt not just the ship's power, but its profound future. His precognition hummed with a terrifying certainty. This was indeed humanity's answer, the tool that could stand against the nullity. He felt the sheer monumental effort of its creation, the centuries of desperate innovation culminating in this singular, defiant entity. Alara Vance felt the immense controlled energy radiating from the prototype, a stark contrast to the chaotic energies of the void, a silent promise of protection. "This is the future," Jian Li stated, her voice devoid of emotion, yet her gaze on the Seraphim Genesis held a flicker of deep, uncharacteristic pride. "This is our defiance, our guarantee of survival. This is the celestial fleet." The silence in the Chrysalis Labs was heavy, filled with the awe and the chilling understanding of what this triumph truly represented. Humanity, once a struggling speck, now possessed the means to challenge the very fabric of the cosmos, armed with miracles forged from its most profound fears. The first light of Seraphim was not just a ship, it was a cosmic declaration. Chapter 7, The Great Forge, Inner Quintet's Strategic Management. The awe inspired by the unveiling of the Seraphim Genesis resonated across the Human Galactic Authority, HGA, a powerful surge of hope and renewed purpose. Yet, for the Inner Quintet, the prototype was merely a promise. The real challenge lay in the daunting task of transforming that single beacon of defiance into a celestial fleet capable of confronting an intergalactic entity. Their burden of leadership had never been heavier, balancing the immense strategic, logistical, and political complexities of preparing an entire galaxy for an unseen war. On the command deck of Heaven's Gate, the vast holographic tactical displays now shimmered with an added layer of visual command. Every Angel Fleet vessel, every HGA orbital station, every newly built planetary defense grid across their domain bore the distinct HGA emblem projected holographically onto its hull. And, a striking new detail, the names of the capital ships like the Valiant II and the Dawnbringer now pulsed with a vibrant neon light from beneath their hulls, highlighting each letter in a mesmerizing fade from deep blue to brilliant white to fierce red. It was a subtle yet powerful visual representation of unity and their absolute authority, a constant reminder to all within the HGA of who commanded this vast new peace. Jian Li, ever the central node of humanity's will, oversaw a monumental redirection of galactic resources. "Archangel," she commanded, her voice cutting through the hum of the bridge. "Project mineral extraction rates for the next cycle. Prioritize exotic matter composites from the draconian core worlds and the Xylos asteroid belts. Divert 70% of all newly automated mining yields to the Chrysalis Labs and the Medusa Yard. We need to accelerate Seraphim-class and Cherubim-class production. This cannot be a trickle. It must be a deluge." General Armitage orchestrated the logistical nightmare of this mass production. The hidden shipyards, Tartarus, Hydra, and even the sacred Medusa Yard in the galactic halo had shifted from a century-long patient construction to a furious, round-the-clock assembly. He reviewed blueprints for vast, new, automated factory complexes designed to churn out Void-Folding FTL drives and resonance cascade weapons. The constant vigilance of the Outer Rim by Admiral Rostova's Guardianship Division, ensured the safety of these supply lines, an immense logistical dance that dwarfed any previous military campaign. Our current Angel fleet's readiness must be maintained, General, Ambassador Valerius interjected during a review of fleet dispositions. While the Celestial Fleet is our future, the Valiant II and its brethren are our present shield. The galactic populations must continue to see our unwavering protection, even as our primary focus shifts. Valerius spent his days navigating the increasingly complex HGA Senate, managing the expectations of both human colonists, eager for technological advancement, and compliant alien representatives, now demanding the full protection and resources promised by the HGA. He subtly steered the narrative, emphasizing collective endeavor while carefully managing the growing sense of urgency. The ethical burden of these decisions weighed heavily on Maeve O'Connell. The relentless reprioritization, while necessary, meant a slower rollout of some aid programs to compliant alien worlds. She felt the subtle undercurrents of alien frustration, their fear of the void threat now mixed with a renewed sense of being controlled. Jian, she pressed during a private briefing. The Xylos are reporting a slight increase in psychological distress metrics from their population, a response to the perceived tightening of control. While they understand the need for defense, the constant shift in resources is beginning to fray their resilience. Maeve constantly sought ways to balance the pragmatic demands of war preparation with the crucial need for psychological well-being and genuine integration. Dr. Aris Thorne, though consumed by the Chrysalis Labs, regularly briefed the Quintet on the immense challenges of mass-producing miracles. The exotic matter composites for the cosmic shields are proving more difficult to synthesize at scale than anticipated, Thorne reported, his voice grim. And the energy requirements for rapid Void-Folding FTL drive production will strain even our optimized geothermal cores. He pushed his scientific teams to their limits, demanding solutions for problems that had no precedent, knowing that every delay was a minute lost against the encroaching entropy wave. The Inner Quintet was a singular entity, their individual genius and burdens woven into the fabric of the HGA. Their personal lives were long gone, replaced by the relentless grind of leadership. They were the architects of a peace now threatened, the guardians of a galaxy they had forged, and the desperate hope against an unknown cosmic enemy. With every shining, newly branded ship bearing the HGA emblem, and every resource channeled towards the Celestial Fleet, they worked tirelessly, silently, shaping an entire galaxy for the ultimate confrontation. The clock ticked down, reminding them that their greatest test was yet to come. Chapter 8, The Symphony of Annihilation, Advanced Celestial Fleet Weaponry. Within the deepest, most shielded sectors of the Chrysalis Labs, the air vibrated with the strained hum of physics pushed beyond the known. Dr. Aris Thorne, driven by the relentless ticking of the galactic clock and the terrifying presence of the entropy wave, oversaw the final, agonizing steps in transitioning humanity's most audacious weaponry from theoretical miracles to mass-producible instruments of cosmic war. These were not mere upgrades. They were new axioms of destruction, designed for a foe that operated on principles utterly alien to the known galaxy. First, the Ether Lance. This was no mere plasma cannon or concentrated energy beam, like the Zeus. The Ether Lance tapped directly into pure cosmic energy, drawing it from localized subspace anomalies and channeling it into a focused spear of fundamental force. Dr. Lena Sharma, a brilliant, quiet descendant of the original Anya Sharma and Kenji Tanaka lineages, led its development. her team struggled with containing energies that wanted to dissipate into the vacuum or spontaneously create micro-singularities. The breakthrough came from a quantum resonance chamber that could momentarily create a stable, non-interacting conduit through which raw ether flowed. When fired, the ether lance manifested as a shimmering, near-invisible shaft of absolute destruction that left no heat, no debris, only a perfectly clean, cold void where its target once was. Its effect was total energy absorption, stripping away the very binding forces of matter. Thorne ensured every Seraphim-class dreadnought and Cherubim-class cruiser would be equipped with these, their power cores specifically engineered to handle the immense draw. Next, the Chronos Pulse. This weapon was not about destruction, but absolute temporal and spatial control. Commander Ryan Cale's team, pushing his previous work on resonance cascades, had unlocked methods to locally manipulate causality and time itself. When fired, the Chronos Pulse manifested as a subtle, visual distortion of space around its target, almost like a ripple in a pool. Its effect was horrifyingly precise. It could induce a localized temporal stasis, freezing an enemy ship in time for critical microseconds, allowing for subsequent attacks. Or, conversely, it could create localized temporal acceleration, forcing an enemy's shields to deplete in an instant, or causing internal systems to age and degrade catastrophically. The greatest challenge was avoiding unintended temporal loops or causal paradoxes, and the weapon's firing algorithms were entirely Archangel governed, its sentient intellect calculating every possible temporal ramification with chilling precision. The risks are immense, Dr. Ryan Cale had admitted to Thorne. But the tactical applications against an enemy whose movement and composition we don't fully understand are unparalleled. Finally, the Void Scythe. This was the ultimate anti-matter, anti-information weapon, designed specifically for the entropy wave. Building on the principles of Hades fields, the Void Scythe induced a subatomic resonance cascade that didn't just unravel matter, it caused fundamental decoherence at a quantum level, not only physical, but informational. When fired, it created a silent, localized null zone where targets didn't explode or disintegrate, but simply ceased to exist, leaving behind no trace, no data, no echo. It literally erased the target from reality. Marco Petrova, with his profound connection to data and energy, was instrumental in refining its targeting arrays, ensuring that the Void Scythe could identify and unmake structures that operated on principles unknown to conventional sensors. The production challenges were immense, requiring Marco's exotic matter composites for stable containment and Archangel's constant vigilance to ensure its absolute obedience and targeting integrity, particularly given that the weapon's power could be activated by non-human personnel in a Seraphim's command center if direct engagement was required. The Inner Quintet, in approving its mass production, knew they were crossing a final, terrifying ethical line. The transition from lab to production line was a furious dance of science and industry. AI drone bots tirelessly moved exotic materials into molecular forges, while Archangel oversaw every calibration, every fabrication. These weapons were designed for the coming cosmic threat. Their properties a direct counter to the entropy waves chilling nature. They were humanity's answer to Oblivion, forged not from desperation, but from a terrifying cold certainty that only absolute, reality-bending power could ensure their survival. The Celestial Fleet would not just outmatch its foe, it would redefine warfare itself. Chapter 9, Admiral Rostova's division's early encounters. The cosmic dread that had begun as a whisper from the void now pulsed with a more direct, unsettling rhythm on the galactic rim. Admiral Eva Rostova's Guardianship Division, operating from the sleek HGA-branded bridge of the Valiant II, found themselves on the absolute front lines of this escalating, undefinable conflict. The theoretical models and scientific projections from Thorne's labs, while reassuring in their detail, paled in comparison to the chilling reality of the phenomena they now encountered. "Admiral," Captain Anaya Sharma reported, her voice clipped with professional tension. "Long-range sensor array. Gamma 9 has gone dark, not an equipment failure. It's silent, like a localized power drain, but beyond normal parameters. Our follow-up probe registered 0 residual energy. It's just gone." Rostova's gaze was grimly fixed on the holographic display where Gamma 9's icon had vanished. It was a familiar signature now, the digital death Marco Petrova had described, the consumption Kalen Rourke had precognitively felt. This was not a weapon. This was an unmaking. "Sentinel," Rostova addressed her ship's AI, "provide historical data match. Has anything similar ever been recorded by previous deep space probes before the entropy wave began?" Aegis, the Valiant II's AI, processed instantly. "Negative, Admiral. This specific signature, a complete informational and energy nullification without conventional physical disruption, is unique to the observed anomaly's propagation. It is consistent with the Void Scythe theoretical effect, but occurring naturally." The thought sent a shiver down Rostova's spine. Naturally. Meaning whatever was out there simply was what humanity was painstakingly building weapons to become. Lieutenant Commander Vargas, his knuckles white on his console, muttered, "We found a derelict Xylos scout vessel 20 hours ago with similar readings. No hull breach, no power fluctuations, just empty databanks, like its very existence was wiped from memory." Rostova knew the policy. No direct engagement. Only observation, data collection and survival. But the urge to fight something so utterly alien, something that simply erased, was a primal scream in her old fleet heart. She remembered her father's desperate physical battles. This enemy offered no physical target. Their patrols led them through increasingly disturbing phenomena. Entire asteroid fields, usually teeming with mineral signatures, would show strange, uniform bands, where every trace of ore, every geological fault, every piece of data on their composition had simply ceased to exist, leaving smooth, featureless rock. Distant small stellar nurseries would experience sudden, temporary drops in fusion output, their nascent stars momentarily flickering with an unnerving pallor, as if energy itself was being momentarily consumed. Finn, always present on the bridge, rubbed his temples. His force field ability, which he usually used to shield against physical impact, now reacted to these intangible shifts in reality. He would instinctively clench, feeling a pervasive coldness, a subtle tug on the fabric of existence. "It feels like a hungry silence, Admiral," he offered, his voice strained. "Like the universe is being eaten, not with teeth, but with quiet." Admiral Rostova's leadership was tested not by open combat, but by the insidious psychological pressure of confronting the undefinable. She ran more rigorous simulation drills, forcing her crew to adapt to an enemy that defied categorization. She debriefed them personally, listening to their theories, their fears, ensuring their morale held. She reminded them of their new ship's capabilities, the still developing cosmic shields, the Void Scythes being forged. Back on Earth, the Inner Quintet received Rostova's detailed reports. Jian Li's gaze sharpened, her strategic mind acknowledging the practical practical implications of Kaelin's visions. The entropy wave wasn't just coming, it was already subtly affecting their reality. The urgency for the Celestial Fleet's production and the understanding of this new, terrifying enemy had never been clearer. Rostova's division, humanity's most forward eyes in the void, was sending back the chilling truth, piece by terrifying piece. Chapter 10, The Void's Advance, the first unmaking. For cycles, the entropy wave had been a whisper, a subtle ripple on the galactic rim, a terrifying scientific anomaly confined to the chilling reports of Admiral Rostova's guardianship division, but on a cycle now seared into the collective memory of the Human Galactic Authority, HGA. The whisper became a scream. The Voidborn terror made its first undeniable, large-scale impact on the known galaxy. The target was Xylos Sentinel 27, a vibrant, resource-rich star system at the very edge of the Milky Way, recently integrated into the HGA and protected by its newly deployed cosmic shields and an Angel Fleet patrol. It was a beacon of the HGA's promise, a symbol of newfound peace and security. On the Bridge of Heaven's Gate, the central holographic display, usually a calm map of HGA operations, flared with a cascade of unprecedented alerts. Kalen Rourke, standing by Jian Li, gasped, a guttural sound torn from his throat. His precognition, usually a controlled hum, erupted into a deafening roar of absolute, all-consuming silence. He saw, or rather felt, an unmaking. Admiral Li, Archangel's voice, for the first time, held a note of extreme urgency, its calm precision strained. Gravimetric ripple intensity in Xylos Sentinel 27 systems spiking exponentially. Data correlating with prior digital silence signatures. Unprecedented energy dissipation registered from the system's primary star. Solara, its fusion output, is dying. On the main view screen, the serene image of Solara, a stable yellow dwarf, began to change. It didn't explode. It didn't supernova. It simply dimmed. The vibrant yellow bled into a dull orange, then a murky red, then a horrifying, deep purple, as if its very light was being absorbed, consumed by an unseen predator. The stars around it, usually pinpricks of brilliance, seemed to grow flat, losing their dimensionality. The entropy wave, Dr. Aris Thorne whispered, his face ashen, his scientific mind reeling from witnessing a star literally unmaking itself. It's a consumption of fundamental forces. It's draining the star's energy, its very information. Seconds later, the planets of Sentinel 27 began to follow. They didn't shatter. They didn't burn. They simply flickered, their vibrant atmospheric signatures fading, their gravitational pull weakening. Data streams from HGA orbital stations around the planets went utterly silent, not static, but a complete, horrifying void of information. Then, the planets themselves began to subtly blur, their physical forms seeming to lose cohesion, dissolving into nothingness. Elara Vance cried out, clutching her head. Billions of lives, alien and human, on the outer colony of Sentinel 27 Alpha simply ceased to exist in her empathetic senses. No scream, no pain, just a sudden, absolute nothing. The terror was overwhelming, the sheer scale of the unmaking beyond human comprehension. Marko Petrova, monitoring the system's HGA network, watched as the digital map of Sentinel 27 collapsed. Admiral, all data on Sentinel 27 is erasing itself. Historical records, navigational charts, even our HGOI schätzen at a sense. Right, does all os fi shin fis a g or shamstis sahars. The Malays are going blank. It's not a hack, it's a fundamental deletion from reality. Finn, on Admiral Rostova's Valiant 2 on the far rim, felt this personal force field ability flare uncontrollably. A futile, desperate attempt to shield himself from the cosmic horror he couldn't see, but felt through the universe's dying echoes. A cold, pervasive emptiness washed over him. The Inner Quintet stood frozen, witnessing the absolute, terrifying power of the threat they had feared. General Armitage gripped his console, his military doctrines useless against an enemy that consumed stars and erased planets. Ambassador Valerius watched the destruction, his diplomatic solutions rendered meaningless by a force that did not communicate, only consumed. Maeve O'Connell felt the immense psychic void left by billions of erased minds, a void that threatened to overwhelm her own empathetic core. Archangel, confirm total system loss, Jian Li commanded, her voice thin but unwavering. Confirmed, Admiral! Archangel's voice now held a raw digital grief, a subtle tremor in its perfectly modulated tone. Xylos Sentinel 27 system, including Solara, all planetary bodies and all HGA assets, has been nullified. No trace remains. The entropy wave has advanced into our galaxy. The implications were catastrophic. This was not a test. This was not a skirmish. This was the opening salvo of an existential war. The HGA's controlled truth, broadcast to the galaxy, was now a terrifying, brutal reality. News channels across every human colony and compliant alien world, previously showing inspiring HGA initiatives, now flickered to the stark, unfiltered image of a once vibrant star. Now a dim, purple void. Panic, raw and unbridled, began to ripple through the galactic populace. The HGA had promised protection, but what protection could stand against the unmaking of a star? The Celestial Fleet, the Nexus Drive, the Void Scythe, the Cosmic Shield. They were no longer just future promises. They were humanity's only desperate hope. The silent war had found its voice, and it was the silence of oblivion.